too. There's nothing to do around here.
I know.
Yeah.
Me too. Mama, can we go watch some TV?
There's nothing wrong with your kids being bored. Time and again, I notice parents leaving their kids to be raised by the TV, or many parents use the iPad as the babysitter. Even in church, you see children sitting with iPads and telephones and playing on these gadgets. We cannot expect children to be unconscious in God's presence and be conscious of His presence. Children have to be actively involved when they are in church service and also when they're at home. Let them help with chores in the house. It's okay for children to be bored because it also helps them become more creative. Children in Africa, for example, are very creative, and then they can create the most innovative toys. And it's not because they are not materially blessed as children in the Western world. So parents, there's no harm in limiting your children's screen time. In fact, you're doing them a favor by switching off their gadgets. Children who are overstimulated end up being more irritable and are harder to please than children who are bored. Send them out to play. Let them read a book. Let them sit down and count the dots on the ceiling. It's okay. Another thing I see is that parents switching on some gadget every time their kid fusses. The indirect message you're actually sending to children might be more harmful than being momentarily embarrassed by their crying. What I have done as a mother is, for example, if a child starts fussing in the middle of a service, I would take them to another room, try and find out what the problem is, and try and solve it. It's not always easy, but it's possible. Ecclesiastes 7 verse 3 says, "A sad heart is good for the heart." Let your kids be bored. It's good for them.
One of the things we parents do that might send the wrong signal to our children and to our youths is that we do not carry our Bibles to church. Instead we use our mobiles or iPads to read the Bible. In itself, that's not a problem. There's nothing wrong with that. But for a child, it may be hard to understand, like, why we are allowed to be on our mobiles and they are not allowed. So let's help them by carrying our Bibles and reading them. Let us teach them to carry their Bibles to church and not a mobile with hundreds and thousands of other distractions, something that will just keep their eyes away from the Word of God. Now, another thing is that in everything small that our children watch, there's a great chance that there is a small little lie in there somewhere. And if you do not control what they are watching, talk to them about it, correct them, then by being inactive, you're letting things happen that later will be hard to undo again. The enemy, he's not resting, and he knows every way to get to your child, to our children, and he will use every way possible to use. Now, we lead by example, so even in the smallest of things, such as carry your own Bible to church, reduce the time you spend on the phone, even at home, to send the right signal to your child.
My parents check which movies we watch and make sure that they are suitable for little children. If we're not sure if something is good or not, we always ask our parents. Our parents watch movies with us and guide us on what is right or wrong in the movie. Our parents always come in and check on what we're watching, if we're watching TV alone. If we watch something together, they tell us if it is a bad or a good program, and if it is bad, they tell us to stop watching it. Our parents are not afraid to switch off the TV and say no to us. In our family, we also talk about the movies we watch, and if there is anything to learn from them, and when we happen to hear a bad word, then our parents help us understand why it's bad.